Welcome to the Unproduced Table Read here on the Popcorn Talk Network. Guys, we got something very exciting today. We're doing something brand new, so stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unproduced Table Read here on the Popcorn Talk Network. As I mentioned at the top, we're doing something brand new. For those tuning in for the first time, we normally read award-winning unproduced scripts in their final stages, but today we're reading an early draft of a script, and we'll be workshopping it on air. Guys, my name's Jeff. Thanks for being here. I'm surrounded by a group of very talented actors as well who also have names, and I would like for them to introduce themselves, both by name and by character name who they'll be playing today. Adrian, we'll start with you.
All right. Hey, guys. I'm Adrian Snow. I'll be reading for Caitlin, among many others.
What's up, guys? I am Timothy Michael. I am reading Howard G. White, Black Kid, and Photographer.
Hey, I am Haley O'Connor, and I'm reading Margot and Keeley.
Hey guys, I'm Roxy Stryer, and I'll be reading for Sherry Bain, employee, director, and Leslie.
Hey guys, I'm Andrew, and today I'll be reading mainly for Jake, throwing some Ty and Park in there.
Yes. So these characters are attached to a script called Hollyweird. It's a pilot that I actually wrote because, as I mentioned, we'll be workshopping a script today, and my thought was, if we're going to be workshopping a script and actually getting into the nitty-gritty of what's working and what's not, I wanted to test run it with something internally before we bring on writers. So,
And destroy them.
Rip it apart. But just so you guys know, a workshop is actually different from a table read. So what we'll be doing today is reading through the script. Unlike usual, my writers probably aren't as prepped as they normally would be today. I actually asked them to either come in completely cold or having only read the script one time through. Opinions differ on this, but a lot of writers that I really respect, including John August, would argue that because executives are always cold reading and have no previous impressions of a script or time to collect their thoughts, the most honest and usually valuable feedback you get is based on either a cold read or a very unprepared read. So normally our actors have done some prep work, so if they sound a little cold today, it's because literally they are cold reading. Do you guys have any questions before we get into this script? I know not much is known about it, but that's how I want it to be.
When did you write it?
It's actually, this draft is about 8 months old.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't touched it since, so it might be a little cold for me too.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. And as always, guys, we're going to have a great read. Any other questions before we go in? Awesome, let's do it. Guys, this is the pilot to a half-hour comedy called Hollyweird. Interior office day. In a messy, paper-strewn office, Jake sits at a desk across from Howard Brent, a rock-hard, middle-aged bro whose thinning, artificially platinum hair has seen better days. Howard's like a former gymnast turned middle school wrestling coach, where he attracts the affection of many divorced cougars.
So that's pretty much it.
Jake nods politely.
Oh, did I mention that I only do 2 tablespoons of protein in my coffee on
Tuesdays. Because you double dose on Wednesday because leg day.
Killer memory, bro. Let's start you Monday. And don't worry, this isn't going to be like The Devil Wears Prada. I'm a chill-ass boss.
Jake again nods politely, then notices an award statue in the corner.
Is that an Emmy?
Pretty much. It's an adult video news award. In 2002, I won Best Former Otter turned Muscle Daddy in a foreign language picture.
Congratulations.
Super competitive category, which reminds me, I let my last assistant go for a pretty specific reason. So before we seal the deal, I need one more thing from you.
Howard reaches into his desk and pulls out an eggplant.
Are you able to wrap your hands fully around this eggplant?
Jake does.
Awesome, cool. All right, now you can kind of just stroke it.
So I was told this job was purely administrative.
It is. I have a very large pen.
Jake looks skeptical.
Okay, now shake the eggplant.
Jake does.
Okay, looser strakes, the floppier. Good. Now just kneel down.
I'm out of here.
Wait. Listen, man, it's not as bad as you think.
I'm not fluffing you for $12 an hour, dude.
Fluffing is an outdated term. My third wife calls it phallic invigoration. It's dignified.
But Jake's already out the door. Exterior 101 freeway, Highland exit establishing. As we see Jake as per usual. This is a typo. We're on the 101 with Jake and Caitlin in a car in bumper-to-bumper traffic. Interior old car continuous. Caitlin and Billy ride in a luggage-stuffed clunker with broken air conditioning and Nebraska plates. Caitlin drives. Nebraska sure looks closer to Cali on a map, doesn't it?
Well, 2 flat tires will be worth it when we win our first Oscar.
Caitlin, can I get serious for a minute? Caitlin looks over with a hint of concern.
Of course. Is everything okay?
Kate, you're my writing partner, my best friend, and we're about to be roommates. Do you feel like there's something else here?
Like what?
Well, we're about to co-sign on a lease, and I'm wondering if you've ever felt like maybe this could be, a next level situation.
Billy,
Caitlin looks him in the eyes.
I would absolutely love to be your emergency contact.
That's not exactly where I was going.
Oh my God, this is our exit. We're pretty much Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling.
Billy is downtrodden, but Caitlin rouses him when she starts singing the iconic La La Land musical motif from the theme. The car is all earnest, manic energy as rousing Hollywood orchestrations accompany their eager anticipation. Exterior intersection Highland and Franklin continuous. This is the most congested intersection in the world. Billy and Caitlin are stopped at a red light. It turns green, the music swells. It's a green light, Kate. Our green light. Hollywood.
But there's no, room for me to go.
She's right. The intersection is jammed, and the cars in front of her just start moving. This is our moment.
Okay.
Caitlin drives forward, gets stuck right in the middle of the intersection, and now the light turns red. The car is blocking all perpendicular traffic.
Shit.
Cars immediately start honking, and the music turns from rousing to ominous.
What do I do?
When life hits you hard, hit back. It's a classic rope-a-dope.
What?
Here's to the ones who dream, foolish as they may seem.
Okay, you can't just quote La La Land.
People are furious, cursing, honking, and middle fingers abound. Red and blue lights flash in the Honda's rear view.
Please pull over to the side of the road.
Hey, listen, a bit of madness is key to give us new colors to see.
Shut up, Billy.
Interior under the influence management day. Keeley sits on a waiting room chair by Margot, a harried assistant who answers a ringing telephone.
UTI management.
A phone voice responds.
Do I have the wrong number? I meant to call under the influence management.
That's us, UTI management.
Margot has an existential revelation.
I've worked here for 3 years. I have never noticed that.
Margot, send him my 1 o'clock.
Margot nods at Keeley, who heads into the office. Interior, UTI management, Sherry's office continuous. Sherry Greenberg, a manic, Zoloft-addicted New York transplant and agent, sits across a desk from Keeley.
I don't want to be rude, Kelly.
Keeley.
But I'm not sure why my Margaret cleared your query.
Sherry pulls out a piece of paper and begins to read.
My work defies expectations. In a bounteous display of self-awareness, I use social media to passionately defy my privilege. I have no idea what that means.
CNN covered me last week.
Sweetheart, one viral video doesn't make you an influencer. We rep meaningful clients like Danielle Bergoli.
Cut to Interior Dr. Phil studio day. Found footage of Danielle Bergoli from her famous Dr. Phil appearance. Catch me outside, how about that? Back to Interior under the influence management, Sherry's office day.
Meaningful?
McDonald's just paid her $3 million for her new ad.
Cut to Exterior McDonald's day. A McDonald's employee speaks directly to camera carrying a tray of to-go bags towards a beautiful silver Bentley.
We've reduced drive-through wait times and offer car-side delivery with an option for cashback on debit purchases. Right, Danielle?
The car window lowers, revealing Danielle. She takes a bag and the employee hands her a 20. Cash me outside, how about that? Back to Interior under the influence management, Sherry's office day.
My work has a socio-political bent.
Cut to Exterior Skid Row day. Found footage of Keeley sitting among a group of multicultural homeless doing her makeup. A pedestrian films her on his iPhone.
You're making a statement?
Homelessness will be continually racialized until white people join the movement.
A gruff, bearded white man in his 30s nearby pops up.
There are plenty of white homeless.
No, listen, I'm talking about, white people.
Back to Interior under the influence management, Sherry's office day. Groans emerge from outside the entire office. Margot looks sick to her stomach.
The video already has 9 million views.
And a 12-1 like to dislike ratio.
Hate is my bait.
Margot audibly physically gags.
Well, listen here. I can't even think about signing you until you have a legal address, so get off the streets and then call me back.
But the streets are my brand.
Margot, about to vomit, gets up quickly and darts away. Interior studio set day. A table is set for a family dinner commercial. G walks on set in skinny jeans and a beanie cap. The director of the shoot looks concerned.
What's your name?
G.
Full name?
G.
Casting sent you?
Yes. I'm 16 years old.
No, the character of the son is 16 in the commercial, but we can't cast a minor, so...
That's perfect, because I'm actually 19.
Wait, this call sheet says you're playing Troy.
Perfect, because I'm actually 40.
The director's eyes go wide.
20. 30. 3. 9.
A youthful, stick-thin black kid walks up next to G.
Hey, I'm Mark, playing the son. Also, I'm black.
Problem. Troy is the next-door neighbor who's not black.
That's perfect, because I'm white.
The character is Filipino.
So am I.
Okay. I need you to shoot me straight. Are you a teenage black boy, a middle-aged white adult, or a Pacific Islander in your 30s?
G takes a breath, eyes a bit shifty.
Yes.
Interior Bain Mansion day. Michael Bain, 48, good looking in a manufactured way, plays pinball in an 80s McMansion that hasn't aged well.
Tell me you're employed.
Dad, you told me the job was all office only.
The occasional lunch pickup is standard for any Hollywood assistant.
He wants me to fluff.
Fluff? What, like keeping the sour cream fresh and crafty brings tacos to set kind of fluff?
Yeah, kind of, actually.
Oh, wait. You mean the phallic invigoration? Jake, fluffing is a pejorative term.
God forbid I degrade the adult film industry, Dad.
Jakey, I thought you respected my work.
Sure, but just because you worked in porn doesn't mean I want to work in porn as well.
Worked? I don't like this past tense thing. I just shot a movie last week.
Dad, your films haven't made money since 1993. Sorry, but no one pays for porn anymore.
Michael, sensitive, gets emotional. Jake walks over to console his father.
Jake, I used to be the Spielberg of adult film, and now I'm shooting MILF stuff on an iPhone 4. I feel like my professional life is in shambles, so I at least want to try to be a better father.
Huh?
Oprah recommended this book.
Insert book title: How to Parent Your Incredibly Entitled Millennial Son, especially when you're filthy rich.
And it says that the average SoCal kid starts paying his rent around 25 years old.
Well, 28 is the new 25.
Jake, when I was your age, growing up in Brentwood, my maid refused to cut the crust off my albacore tuna melt.
Jake earnestly gasps.
It was a different time. Plus, we're gonna go broke if something changes.
Jake's eyes go wide.
If you want to keep living in the back house, I need $1,000 a month.
That's like a whole day of food.
I get it, but something needs to change.
Our back house isn't even nice.
Jake walks out the back door, and he's objectively wrong. The guest house is gorgeous.
Francesca Scorsese just guest house hot tub sits 12, and I've never even complained about the 8-seater.
Jake opens his wallet. An idea.
Can I put it on my Amex?
I pay for that dummy.
I seriously thought that would work.
End Act 1. Exterior Koreatown apartment courtyard day. G, wearing the same clothes he wore for his audition, walks back to his apartment dejected. He unlocks his door to a shabby, minimalist studio apartment to see a Korean man, Park, sitting on his couch. Park, 41, wears a Hawaiian shirt, backwards hat, and smokes a blunt. G is surprisingly at ease to see this man in his apartment.
Park, pass it, brother.
My man, my man, my man.
This entire conversation takes place in Korean, and G sits right down next to Park.
So you just needed some kush, eh?
No, I've got plenty.
What are you doing here?
Can a friend just come hang out?
G smiles. This is nice.
Also, I'm evicting you. You have to be out by tomorrow. I'm showing the unit to 3 prospective tenants at 1.
Wait. Whoa. You evicted?
Obviously. Sorry, homie, but there's just no way I can logically justify you living here anymore.
I'm 1 month behind in rent.
You're 4 months behind in rent.
I'm a model tenant.
You had a loud off with Rex.
G's dog Rex barks and a nearby window cracks.
And I'm a successful actor.
Your only IMDb credit is quiet juggling guy's off-screen doula.
G throws his head back in despair.
Park, I thought we were friends.
We are. And that's why I did you a solid, bro.
Park hands G an envelope. For a moment, G thinks there may be hope. He undoes the envelope and discovers a U-Haul reservation receipt. Exterior Santa Monica Boulevard, West Hollywood day. Caitlin and Billy haul their luggage down the sidewalk, and Caitlin is more miffed than Billy. Caitlin, it's fine. The impound lot's in Inglewood, which has apparently gentrified a lot, though I know that's a socially complicated issue.
Billy, that wasn't only a car. It was our room and board until we found a place, and our survival budget is pretty sparse.
Well, luckily, this place has a kick-ass happy hour.
Good, because Mama's thirsty.
Billy and Caitlin walk into Interior Surly Goat Day. Billy and Caitlin enter the sparsely populated bar, and the bartender takes note.
Did you guys just hike here from the valley?
Pretty much. We're going to need a Cosmo and a Manhattan ASAP. G sits at the bar, surrounded by empty shot glasses.
How old do you think I am?
Billy and Caitlin are taken aback, but politely comply. 41?
I'm 23 years old.
I hope that's not true.
I'm 20 years old.
I hope that's not true.
The bartender sets down the previously ordered Cosmo in front of Caitlin and the Manhattan in front of Billy. Actually, Billy swaps the drink. The Cosmo is his and the Manhattan is hers. He hands over his credit card.
I'm watching my career crumble in front of my eyes.
This card bounced, Carrie Bradshaw.
Here.
Caitlin hands him cash. Rough day?
When I moved here, after college, to make a name for myself, 18 years ago,
How old are you?
21. When I moved here, I really thought I was going to make my dreams come true, like Matt Damon or Honey Boo Boo.
You've got time, man.
I'm 29 years old. I'm LA elderly. Last week, my stepson
Billy and Caitlin tacitly. Stepson?
graduated college and asked me if it was too late for him to move here, chase his dreams.
Well, what'd you tell him?
I told him that this town chews up and spits out anyone over the age of 22.
We're 26. G starts sobbing. Interior Toyota Prius day. Caitlin drives, Billy sits shotgun, and G sits back middle, clearly still drunk.
That'd have been fine to drive.
Billy turns a corner, G loses his balance, smacks his head on the window, and slumps backwards in the car.
Clearly.
Caitlin hands G a large water bottle and pulls over in a nice Brentwood neighborhood.
This isn't my apartment. I'm flattered, but I couldn't afford anything in this neighborhood. Also, I don't have an apartment anymore.
G starts crying. Quick pit stop. Billy and Caitlin exit the car directly in front of the Bain Mansion. Exterior Westside Pavilion Mall day. Keeley stands by the exit door of a large mall, yelling at strangers as they exit the door.
I'm outside. Catch me right here.
An Indian family glares at her.
You can catch me whether I'm outside or inside.
A scrawny teenager takes notice.
What are you doing?
Making a catchphrase.
The teenager stares.
How about that?
Suddenly, we see Ty and Leslie walking down the street with clipboards and photographs, talking manically. Ty walks past Keeley, double takes, and slides back.
Do I know you?
When I was 11, I was in a Tamagotchi commercial.
You're white homeless bitch.
You know, I don't love that name.
It's an honor to meet you.
Ty aggressively shakes her hand.
This is totally serendipitous, bro. Leslie and I are producing our first unscripted pilot, and you could honestly be our perfect lead. I'd love to send you some documents. Where do you live?
Live?
Yeah, like your address.
Address, I definitely have one of those. It's on Sunset Boulevard.
And does it have numbers?
Yes. 1,
She sees a four-fingered homeless man.
4,
She sees a pooping dog.
2.
We'll have our messenger run it over today.
Interior Keeley's Kia Forte day. Keeley starts the car.
Siri, navigate to 142 Sunset Boulevard.
Exterior Bain Mansion day. G, Billy, and Caitlin are all standing outside of the car, which is parked in front of his mansion.
How the hell did you get Michael Bain to read your script?
Honestly, we mailed it to him.
He read it?
We included a charming photo.
Interior photo shoot day. Flashback. A photo shoot. Caitlin and Billy are dressed up in Bain is Best t-shirts, bowing down to a wax figure version of Michael Bain. A photographer directs the shoot.
Marvelous! Yes, mount him!
Upbeat runway music pulses as a montage of fast cuts reveals increasingly ridiculous photos. Exterior Bain Mansion day. Present.
I suppose it never hurts to stroke an ego.
Yeah, anyway, he invited us to meet him here at the mansion.
We were running a local theater troupe in Nebraska, but we'd always wanted to become Hollywood writers. So we're here now. Officially.
Well, I, for one, can't wait to meet Michael Bain.
Okay, whoa. Who said you were coming?
Whose car did you take to get here? Who's going to drive you to the impound lot? Who's going to show you the LA ropes? Accept it. I'm the only friend out here.
Friend?
Also, you're hammered.
I'm an actor.
They stare at G. So what?
Hi there, Mr. Bain. Huge fan. I'm Billy and Caitlin's executive assistant.
Ooh, I like the sound of that.
I once saw a 14-year-old Girl Scout procure a loan for a Zac Efron selfie museum by claiming her younger sister was her assistant. It's a magic word in this dumb town.
They walk towards the front door of the mansion.
So what's the script?
It's a dramatic historical tragedy, like Schindler's List meets Hotel Rwanda.
That's what we write. Really heavy, heartbreaking, but honest stuff. You know, true to life. Interior Bain Mansion living room day. Michael Bain, Caitlin, Billy, and G all sit in the living room drinking Perrier.
So I'm gonna come right out and say it. This is one of the funniest scripts I've ever read.
Funniest?
Yes, when Aboyami decides to kill his son for betraying the Zulu tribe, I doubled over.
Our script is about the Sudanese genocide.
And I've been wanting to direct a comedy since the start of my career.
Caitlin, Billy, and G stare wide-eyed.
It's a parody, right? You know, like Airplane, Spinal Tap, Battlefield Earth.
Yes, of course. We're so glad you see the vision.
Wait a minute.
But we talked about this last week.
I just want to make sure that all of us are on
On the same page. Yeah, I totally agree. Mr. Bain, here's the deal. I know you're extremely busy, so why don't we treat this as a general and meet in your office next week?
Bain is taken aback by G's bluntness, but he warms to it.
You know, I like you, man. I like your candor. My son could learn from you. Jake, get in here! You must be about the same age?
How old's your son?
28.
Wow. Believe it or not, I'm actually a couple years younger.
Oh, I get nervous doing business with folks in their 20s.
Plus 6. Because I'm 31 years old. Adult. It is the age of me.
Jake walks back into the room.
Jake, I want you to meet some fellow hustlers. They're up-and-comers, and I'll be working with them. So why don't you take them to Spago? Pick their brains.
Oh, you know what? I mean, Kate and I, we're kind of on a budget.
On me. Don't worry, I have a running tab there.
Exterior Bain Mansion day. Keely waits outside, nervously checking her watch at the base of the driveway, and a sweaty messenger rushes down the sidewalk. At the same time, G, Billy, Caitlin, and Jake exit the Bain Mansion and make their way down the driveway. I have a delivery for...
Keely Stevens, yes, hi.
Jake and crew walk right up as this exchange is happening.
What the hell are you doing?
Just picking up some mail.
Why is the envelope addressed to my house?
That'll be all.
The messenger scampers off.
Who are you?
Listen, I've had a rough week, and for reasons that are difficult to explain, I just kind of need some support right now.
Dinner on me?
A limousine pulls up. And Act 2. Interior Spago day. Jake, Caitlin, Billy, G, and Keely sit at a gorgeous table in the back of the incredibly upscale restaurant.
All right, I'm going to say it. This is kind of weird.
I know, they didn't even season the olive oil.
And the truffles are most certainly expired.
The group looks at Keely.
Is a sentence I once heard in a film about wealthy Bostonians to whom I have no connection or familial ties.
A beat.
No, it's weird because 10 minutes ago I was homeless and now I'm eating at literally the world's fanciest restaurant.
Homeless?
Us too.
Me too.
Jake considers this.
Well, you guys can crash in the guest house.
I mean, we'd happily pay for a night or two while we apartment shop.
Pay?
Yes. Jake takes a deep breath.
I've been having some money problems lately.
A waiter walks by.
Sir, we'll take one of everything.
He turns back to the table.
Anyways, I've been having some money problems, and this just might be my solution.
They stare at him wide-eyed.
My dad says I'm entitled.
He takes a sip of tea just as he says this, and another waiter walks by.
I asked this to be heated to 141 degrees Fahrenheit. Check it.
He turns back to the table.
Can you believe that? So, anyway, now he's asking me to pay a monthly fee to stay in our guest house.
So this is a kind of you help us, we help you thing?
Exactly.
The other four look at each other, interested. Interior of the guest house day. Jake gives his potential new tenants a tour.
So it's a 4-bedroom, but there are 5 of us. I'm sure you two would be fine living together, right?
Caitlin and Billy look at each other. Well,
No problem. We've been best friends and writing partners since sophomore year of college.
Oh. I sort of assumed you guys were, you know.
Together?
Billy looks doe-eyed at Caitlin. She cracks up.
God, no.
As if.
Well, maybe one day.
Absolutely
not.
not.
One trip to WeHo and this guy will be out of the closet by next fall.
Billy laughs uncomfortably. Or is he crying?
Okay, so let me give you guys the tour.
Suddenly, there's a knock on the guest house front door.
And let's start by going upstairs.
He rushes them upstairs.
Master bedroom first.
Interior guest house upstairs continuous. He stuffs them in the room and jams a chair under the door handle.
And it locks from the outside.
What's going on?
1 second, Dad.
He rushes back downstairs. Interior guest house day. Jake opens the door and lets his dad in.
I just wanted to say that I'm proud of you. I know you're not used to working, and I'm here to support you emotionally.
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
And I just want you to know that you don't have to hide anything from me.
What makes you say that?
Well, this book.
Insert book title. Important stock phrases for ending supportive conversations with your incredibly entitled millennial son.
Thanks, Dad.
Jake rushes his dad outside and sprints back upstairs. Interior guest house upstairs continuous. Jake unlocks the door.
What the hell was that about?
Is your dad not cool with us living here?
What?
Because we might be working with him, so if living here is going to be a problem.
It's $250.
$250 a week is manageable, but the abrupt disrespect of locking us in a room unprompted is...
$250 a month.
Jake, the group reacts. This is an unreasonably reasonable lease.
Say what now?
$250 a month in Brentwood?
Is that expensive?
Well, after having given it some very serious thought and having assessed the admittedly hospital accommodations, I feel that your offer is at worst competitive, so I feel comfortably tentatively agreeing to your proposed monthly lease.
The others quickly agree.
Great. Well, to make it official.
Jake hits a button on the wall. Suddenly, the lights dim, EDM music starts, and a bottle of champagne rises from the middle of the floor. Jake dances like a goof. He encourages the others to do the same, who awkwardly join in.
It's my celebration button.
Your celebration button?
Yeah, I had it installed and programmed after memorizing all the words to the motto by Drizzy.
He gestures, and the whole group takes glasses.
To my 4 new housemates and hopefully friends. Cheers.
Everyone toasts. Another knock at the door. Jake looks around, and a hush falls over the room.
Get the fuck up here.
The group rushes upstairs. Interior master bedroom continuous. The 4 new housemates breathe heavily, silently. It's weirdly tense.
This could actually be really good for me.
They stare, skeptical, annoyed.
I'm auditioning for a stage retelling of the Diary of Anne Frank, so it's like Method.
And Act 3, Sting, interior, guest room, living room, night. Jake and G watch Entourage on a projector screen while Caitlin and Billy work on something at the table in the room. Keely excitedly enters with a brown envelope.
This is it.
They stare.
My producers, Ty and Leslie, offered me their reality show sizzle so I could see.
She pulls out a DVD.
Pop it in.
Keely puts the DVD in and joins G and Jake on the couch. Billy and Caitlin also join, and all 5 watch eagerly. Upbeat reality TV stock music starts, and a narrator gets us started.
There are B-list celebrities, C-list celebrities, hell, there are even Z-list celebrities, but even they aren't the bottom-feeding scum of Hollywood.
A quick montage of viral videos play. Grape Lady, Ginger Kid, Charlie Bit My Finger.
That's right, viral video stars.
Suddenly, Keely herself pops up on the screen.
No, listen, I'm talking like white people.
Are these crap-guzzling gutter slugs redeemable? We answer that question on Viral Revival, the show that sticks Hollywood's worst viral video vixens in a house, living side by side, as we task them with the worst jobs imaginable. The only way to heal a monster is to break it first.
Keely's eyes go wide.
We'll have these selfish Sallys fixing toilets, collecting roadkill, cleaning sperm clinics, and even disposing of radioactive waste. And no, we're not talking about the contestants themselves. At least not yet.
Keely is horrified.
Viral Revival, it's Bad Girls Club meets Dirty Jobs, only worse.
The video stops.
Ooh. Yeah. Stay the hell away from that show, man.
I already said yes, I signed.
A tense silence penetrates the room. Are they looking for a PA? End of episode. Okay, so clearly, if you guys have listened to the show, this is a first draft. So I want to talk about, typically with workshops, the job of the writers to kind of shut up and just let the readers offer their completely honest thoughts. And I'm not super attached to the script, guys, so I would love the most honest feedback possible that you guys can give.
What was your inspiration for the script? Like, what's your show that you're kind of?
Yeah, so basically the inspiration for this script was that I feel like with entertainment industry shows, the version we get in New York is always like weird and interesting and specific. So I think of like 30 Rock, I think of like the Gary Shandling show. Whereas I feel like whenever we see industry shows of LA, they kind of take themselves seriously. So like Entourage is like super cool. And I kind of wanted to create the version of like weird LA that I don't think we've seen.
Okay.
I'm fascinated with G and Keely. I think those are the 2 characters that stood out the most to me.
Okay.
I think just because they're the most messed up. I don't know if I like how everybody meets. I feel like it's G meeting Caitlin and Billy in the bar, and then them meeting Caitlin outside of the Keely, outside of the mansion. I don't know. I feel like it could be better. That's how they all come together.
It's interesting because sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I actually disagree with that.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I actually like when they all come together. I
like
feel like
that
that's
too.
when it finally starts rolling.
Yeah, I prefer group pilots where everyone already knows each other, or maybe there's like one person that's being introduced, only because it does take a lot of time getting those introductions out.
Yeah.
So when I think about like the strongest pilots I've seen, like Friends or even like Living Single, Martin, just those are literally the first 2 that popped in my head.
It's
Everyone
Always
already,
Sunny is one that popped
It's
in my
Always
head.
Sunny.
Yeah.
They already know each other,
Are
and
those-
so that's always helpful.
Are the 5 kids the 5 main characters of the story?
Yeah, plus Bane. So like the dad.
Okay.
So like
Okay, cool. I like Caitlin and Billy best. I loved their dynamic, and I think that they were, because we got to go on that journey with them, they felt the most fleshed out to me.
Okay.
Like I understood they were coming here, they were coming together, they were not dating. One of them clearly wanted to be.
Yeah.
Here they are. This is cheap rent, so it might not be an ideal situation, but I like got why exactly they were doing this.
Or even if it's something where like the other 3 people know each other and we're introduced to Billy and Caitlin in this moment, that's just it just kind of gets everything rolling faster.
I feel like if anybody was going to be introduced, it would be Jake, because he's the one that's so far off of everybody else, because everybody else is homeless and Jake is the one that doesn't, like he's off, he's fine, like he's got money, so we're all sitting here like, okay, well, where's our next step?
Yeah, but I think also you could do something where the 3 people who already live in LA know each other in some way.
Yeah, no, I completely agree
and
with
so
you.
then they end up getting in a situation where they end up living with Jake.
So you're seeing G, Keely, and
Jake.
Jake already know each other?
Have a, just like already, even if it's not a close relationship, they already are aware of each other. So it's not like an introduction. Because that's the other thing too. If you think about like, even if it's comedy, it has to be grounded in some type of realism. So with LA, we're not incredibly friendly to strangers. We don't like. We're just not going to take time to. One, we rarely run into strangers because we're usually in our car.
Right.
So why would that be a situation where they could run into each other? Versus,
That is so funny. I think that LA is so friendly to strangers. Coming from where I come from,
Yeah, New York
like,
is also.
This is like the friendliest place I've ever been by far.
See, I always thought New York was. I know people are like, New York's not friendly, but New York has always been. I've always like run into strangers and had friendly moments with them. Whereas I feel like there's less opportunity to actually meet strangers unless you're like in an improv class or an acting class.
Yeah.
But just running into a stranger
That's a good point.
and without any type of circumstances like business-wise or mutual friends is rare.
I think that's why it would be hard for Jake, Keely, and G to know each other already, because I feel like Keely and G might have like crossed paths somewhere and maybe know each other, but Jake is just so far out that I'd be like, how would he have ever met these two?
Jake is the one I struggle with, I think, the most out of the group. Like, I understand that he needs money, but other than that, why does he give a shit about these people?
Right.
Yeah.
So I had a problem. Like, so obviously he's been raised in this world. So, but he's from, like, where are his own friends?
That was sort of supposed to be baked in. I think I need to make clear he doesn't really have them. Like, he's lonely, so
Right.
it feels like he's incentivized by money, but he wants friends.
But why is he lonely? Because he seems like a nice guy. Like he seems like an entitled,
Dumb and spoiled, but
like,
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I need to make that more clear. That's
Well,
a good note.
I saw it too in the character like breakdown. It says he eagerly seeks the approval of his peers, but it's not necessarily
We don't see him
clear.
with other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good note. I think the hope was like his whole life people have been using him for his wealth. So now that I don't know, but
But
I
it
need
still
to.
would be, wouldn't it? He'd live here for really cheap. They're using him for his wealth.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good note.
I know you pretty well, Jeff. So I feel like parts of this are below your intelligence.
Okay.
And I say that with the utmost respect because a lot of us do things below our intelligence regularly, especially in improv. So for me, I was going to talk to you about the very opening scene because with Jake and Howard, I don't know how we change it, but like, I used to make fluffer jokes in middle school. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's a way you can make it more intelligent with the AVN award and with the Emmys. I don't know, even if it's like a camera guy or some other thing other than I don't know. For me, it just felt like kind of like cheap comedy in the beginning. And I feel like you're much more intelligent than that. Like you could find a niche in there, like a camera guy. Like, you okay with getting wet? How do you feel getting spit on? Or like whatever it is, you know, like shit like that. Something that's like a little more.
Is this like NBC
No.
goals? Or
It's
is
not.
this
Well,
like,
that's a good question. I'd
Yeah,
rather see
that's
where
true.
you guys see this living, because if it's not clear in the read, then work needs to be done.
That's what kind of went back and forth for me a little
Yeah.
bit. Like, because in the beginning part, I was like, wait, is this more?
Yeah.
I can't tell if this is
Network.
network or not. And even from the very first line out, a rock hard, like he has a boner or like his abs are hard.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I'll change
yeah,
that.
it's kind of had that thought too.
And then I was like, oh, what am I stepping into, HBO or am I stepping into NBC? And I don't. And by the end of
Yeah.
it, I didn't know.
Okay.
At times it's like a little too wholesome, and then at times it's like a little too dirty, and you can get it like somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I kind of see it. The only place I know where it kind of does that is like FX.
Yeah.
FX
Yeah.
kind of like toes that line occasionally, but yeah, I think just having it be more clear about who these people are and what their intentions are. It just like I just take too many improv classes, but just really grounding it. So like these people can be insane and crazy, but believable as well. Because that's the thing about TV shows is that most people have to see something in the characters that they connect to and can believe in. It's like with like case in point, like Bob's Burgers or something like that, where the original pilot of that episode was supposed to be they were all cannibals. And they're like,
Funny.
that's just, we can't do a whole show of like cannibals, but what we can do is make the first episode something where they're accused of being cannibals. And so then you kind of get to see like how weird this family is within that situation. So I think if even if they are weird, even if Jake is privileged, if Bane is like an ex-porn director or star,
Current. Thank you very much.
Current, yeah. Like just grounding it, like what is Ron Jeremy like? You know, like what do we know of these people and how can we put it into that?
Right. Well, it's not even that they feel entirely not grounded, but it doesn't feel like there's stakes, which is like something that you need. And so on page 18 is kind of where I feel like it starts to roll, because that's when she's like 1, 4, 2, sunset. And in your mind as an intelligent reader or viewer, you probably can piece together like, oh, that's probably Bane's house. So you kind of get excited. But everything before 18 is all like exposition. It's introduction. So I think that's where the note of Adrian saying that like maybe they know each other, or maybe we focus on Billy and Caitlin more in the beginning. But 18 is where it starts to snowball down, because I think this script really grows on you as you read it. Because like I'll be honest, when I was reading it the first half, I was like, okay, all right, I see this. But then like the second half, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
want to see. I actually want to see this.
And
It's
when they're
interest-
out to dinner and stuff.
yeah, it's like it becomes much more real. So I think what really struggles with this is just the first half and the exposition of introducing these people. If you can figure out a way to tighten it up, make it a little more interesting, maybe it's because they know each other, maybe because you focus on Billy loving Caitlin, but that's literally that's just their first half, and then the second half is excellent.
Yeah. I need to get to it faster.
Yeah.
Who is, just because I started to get a little confused. What is Keely's deal? Like, what is her...
So I need to make this clearer. She's supposed to be like this kind of, those people who think they're very socially aware.
But she lives in L.A.
She's from Boston.
Like Logan Paul.
But she's lived here
She lives here now. It's about a year, is sort of what I was
But,
thinking.
so she's been homeless
for
a year?
Right. That's what I... Because when she came in, I was like, okay, what's the difference between her and Caitlin? Did she just get here too?
Yeah.
Or has she been here? And if she's been here for a year, homeless for a year,
To me, like
that's
her
like
being
says a huge
homeless,
thing about her as a person.
it's supposed to be like an act of protest. Like she's homeless on purpose.
She like graduated from LMU
Yeah.
and grew up in the
Yes.
Valley and is like homeless now.
In my mind, she's this like very rich blue blood Bostonian who has always wanted to feel in touch with like. She thinks she's being like this social activist, but really she's just like an appropriating asshole.
I will say this. This is like the second script I've read where somebody was like intentionally homeless. And I'm always like, that's just the hardest thing to write. Like, because people have such mixed feelings about that.
Right.
And so you have to, it's like a really hard thing to get across.
Well, is
like
she
that
claiming
intentional
she's doing it
homelessness.
intentionally, or is she actually doing it intentionally? Because then she's willing to move in. So
Right. I think like. Yeah, I guess the stakes don't make a ton of sense there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I think is because like I've always, and I've said this still to this day, is like if I can get a role where I'm a homeless person, like I think it would be sweet to live on the streets for like a week, right? Like that's like the stupid actor in me to think that, and it would be like horrible after like 6 hours, right?
Yeah.
But that could be like that's something with stakes that is more relatable instead of just being like I just want to do this because I want to do it. It's like maybe at least give her a reason to do it.
Right.
That is
Yeah.
at least a little more.
like she's starring in a play. And she's
Yeah,
playing
she's
a
like,
homeless
I'm
person, and
homeless, so I've
she's-
been doing
That's
it.
funny.
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
was like, well, when's the play air? It's like, oh, well, it's not going to, but you know, it's like, or it got canceled or something, whatever it is. It's all stupid, but
Yeah, and then also, so is she moving out of the house to now move into a different house?
She never lived. Oh yeah, she's gonna get. Well, yeah, that's another good point. If this is our home base, basically around episode like 4 is when we would launch her into her reality show. And actually, a lot of times with some of these shows, actually, it'll make it seem like they live there, but they actually still do go home.
Oh, okay.
got it.
And that could be an interesting thing to explore. For me, I liked her character a lot, but I didn't understand.
Who she was.
Yeah,
She
there was
was,
just
yeah.
one line at the restaurant about like, oh, I might be from Boston.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it seemed,
Yeah.
And that's
it
when
seemed
I was
out
like,
of
wait,
nowhere
huh?
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like if like does she want to? She wants what does Keely want? Does she want to be
She
taken
seems
seriously?
she seems fame starved in the way
Yeah,
it's
does she
written
want
right
to
now.
be
She
a viral
wants fame.
sensation? If
Which
she
I
wants
think
to be
works.
a viral, yeah, but if she wants to be a viral sensation, then that could be versus like putting her into giving her an already kind of like a sense of fame, because we all kind of know like people who have any type of like weird viral sensation can make money from it, even though it could be for the dumbest reason. So if it's something where she's constantly striving to get like a viral hit, I think that's kind of more interesting to watch. A person kind of like try to figure
That's
out what's
funny.
going to hit.
Yeah, that's a strong pitch.
Versus having her already have something hit and then just be called horrible. Because at the same time, strangely enough, call people who have viral hits horrible, even when it is really horrible,
Right.
until they
Yeah.
do something really bad.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting how we're saying that we didn't know who Keely was or grounded in whatever character she was, but when it comes to G, we don't know like literally anything about him,
Yeah. But
except
that's-
for that
but
he's
that's
an
the
actor.
appeal, I
but I
think.
like,
Yeah.
I
It
love,
worked on
I
him.
love that,
Yeah.
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 But with Keely, it just, yeah. it doesn't.
Yeah, because
He could just be like in the background of the scene where you see Keely for the first time or something, just living on the streets. You
Yeah.
know, so that way it's even like, oh, those two people have run into each other. You know, something like that.
she's kind of illogical though right
Yeah.
now.
I think that it's cool to have a bunch of kids at various ages, and the whole like thing about lying about his age was funny too. Have to live in a house
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
LA, and some of them are at different levels of wealth. So like that at the base I think works. I just right now think how we get to that point was slightly convoluted and a little confusing as to everybody's motives. So we have to give them. Oh, I have to understand why every person's living in this house.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if somebody
Faster,
was
too.
just on purpose being homeless, then $250 wouldn't have made the difference if she was
Already
being
homeless.
Yeah,
on
that's a great
purpose
point.
being homeless.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is, but I think there's some, because you really mentioned like halfway through it, or approximately is where it took off for you. I kind of see it like, and I guess because Billy and Caitlin seem like the leads to me in some
Yeah,
way.
same.
Yeah,
So
me
like,
too.
I could see starting with their car scene and getting to Bane's house as the beginning somehow. So then they're meeting Jake immediately. Although G wouldn't be with them necessarily, but
Well, maybe it's like
but I like starting, like getting Bane's house as the opening, and then we immediately know they're writers. They have this script that is very serious, but he's taking it as a comedy. Because that was like a out of nowhere, like, oh, they already have this meeting set up, sort of. I
Yeah.
kind of thought
what
that
if-
was nearer.
And
the
you can
t-
make
Yeah.
G and Jake friends already.
Yeah, he could be my
Yeah.
pot dealer or something.
So
That's smart.
That's like, because then you have a connection right there. And
Yeah.
then with Keely, I mean, I'm like, what's the easiest way? I was like, you could just make Keely like Jake's sister, or something.
Well, because
Or you know, just make them related or something.
so the intersection in the very beginning, or whatever, the Highland and whatever, is interesting because you can take that, because if we focus on Billy and Caitlin essentially coming into the movie with that scene instead, and in that intersection when they're stuck, is Keely and
Other
G's
people,
homelessness,
yeah.
is the building where Jake's doing his audition,
Yeah.
is Bane's old, you know what I mean? And so it's
Yeah.
like you freeze on them and you extrapolate
So, yeah,
out.
yeah.
It's like everyone is always so close to each other in this town. 10 million people, we see each other so fucking much. And it's like if you could get that in the very
Yeah.
beginning, it might even just make us feel cozier.
Yeah.
You know?
It is a lot of kind of dicking around before we get to where we need to. It sounds like you guys just want everything to happen faster, which is
Yeah,
for
good. No,
sure.
that's good.
Get to it.
It's a.
I was excited for episode 2.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think I would be at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
honestly.
it's a 30-minute. You only have what do they say? Like you only have like a page to capture a reader before they just
Right.
toss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to get everything kind of like in there and get a person hooked to want to keep going. Because if you were like pitching this, they'd be like, I don't get what's the point of this?
Right.
But just off the first page, you'd be like, what am I supposed to care about?
I
at
think
this
it's
point?
pretty easy to. I don't think we needed to see G get evicted. I
Yeah.
think we could cut
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he just could have just gotten evicted. And
Yeah.
He gets to his house. There's an eviction notice. on
Yeah,
his door.
exactly.
All
Didn't-
his stuff is on the street.
Yeah.
didn't need that. And there were some characters where I was like,
But it's in Korean.
Right.
He can read it.
like the Leslie Ty stuff. Are they? Do they?
They do come back.
So those are characters in the show.
Yeah. So is Sherry, the agent, but
Okay. I didn't get that.
yeah, that's good.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't get. Was Park coming back too?
Probably not. So that's a
So
scene
they
you
were
could
at the
shorten.
same level to me. There was like a bunch of characters where I was like, the director,
Right.
Leslie, Ty, Park, and then there was a couple of other people that I was like, is this person? I couldn't tell.
Right.
I honestly think if you start the script with them coming into town, it's somewhat like that what idea I was saying, and you get all their problems in the first 3 pages, like I can't get a job, I'm getting evicted, I need, like all these things
Yeah.
Yeah.
immediately, then it makes everything else. Then you could even show the process of them getting to that point, and it makes
Yeah.
it more interesting already.
You could even just
yeah.
do the tie-in of like it's a Craigslist ad. It could be like Bane's dad being like, "You got to figure out a way to make money. We can make
Yeah.
or Jake. You can make Jake a tad bit smarter and just have him be like, okay, I'll just put out a Craigslist ad. And because then you have a reason for all these people to eventually come together.
Yeah, they all
You know?
see the thing.
They all see the ad. They all end up coming at the
Yeah.
same time. So
And it's even funny if, like, when they arrive, there's a shoot happening, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh God, did we
Yeah,
just get
what
wrapped
is
into
this?
porn?" They're, no.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, we're in the guest house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great
And
pitch.
I don't even think that it needs to be super duper believable the way they meet.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No.
that's okay. We just need to get there quicker, so
Yeah.
we're all on board. Like, all right, they're all living here, and
Well,
that's
what
what's
if,
happening.
what if we, just going on the Craigslist ad thing, what if we all responded to the same ad and we all meet up at the house?
Well, that's what she's saying. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I missed
Hold on, I got a great idea. What if?
that. Sorry, I was like, I thought you meant Caitlin and Billy saw the Craigslist ad and then they
No,
and
they
then
all
everybody
see the
else.
Craigslist ad.
Okay,
Or
yeah.
even if you want to keep the Billy and Caitlin are writers, that they end up kind of being there at the same time that G and Keely are there to see it.
That's a
so
really
if
good
you
idea.
want, if you want to keep that as a part of it.
Yeah.
Also, he could be being, Jake could be being crappy and overcharging them, and he's getting something out of this too. Because right now he's literally getting nothing
Yeah.
except for staying in his own place. So he could ask them each for $500 a month instead, and he could be pocketing it, and he could have claimed to them that it was just how much his dad was asking, and they could catch him in a lie,
That's
or
funny.
like
Yeah.
something where he.
Conflict.
Yeah,
It depends
something.
on what kind of character you want to make him. You can make him desperate for friendship, or you can make him kind of greedy. I mean, I've definitely had the greedy
Roommate.
who lied to me about rent.
Woof.
Ooh.
But
I kind of like that you had established that Jake is going to have a thing for Keely though when he sees
Yeah.
her outside and he's like, "Oh, I'll take you to dinner."
Yeah.
I like that. I like to see where that's going to go.
He's like-
Especially if they're living together. It's like I want to see where that goes.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you can have the juxtaposition of him being attracted to her being homeless, but then they're both actually just rich people.
Right.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And I think that's interesting. On page 20, at the very bottom, G has a line where he says, "I once saw a 14-year-old girl." The whole Zac Efron procure
Yes.
stuff. So that's the only line I have like as just like a rewrite.
Yeah,
Straight up.
it's not
I don't know
working.
what it is. It's not working, but it could be so funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like it's such a good line, and the idea behind it is great that like it just
Yeah,
like,
I love
you could
the
do so much
concept
more
of the
out of it.
assistant.
It
Yeah.
didn't read well. It's,
and then
yeah.
with cultural references,
Danielle is a little old now.
Yeah.
that's
I
the
googled
toughest
her.
part.
I felt old.
Is because it happens so quickly nowadays.
Right.
That you just want something that either make it so general that it everyone will get it, make it something that's fictional.
Yeah, make your own.
Make
yeah.
your own, because we go through cultural references so quickly.
Yeah.
So quickly. Like I didn't even know that "What Are Those" was like a Vine thing from Black Panther. That's the thing.
I don't know.
Oh,
Didn't
yeah.
know.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Turning
it happens
30.
That's a
so
good
fast.
note.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I have a question. It's really unimportant to the overall script, but just the joke about UTI management.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
I like that.
Is that on purpose? Because then what the assistant like has this revelation, but the way it's written, it looks like the assistant is having a revelation that UTI stands for under the influence, which like
It's more that she's just never realized that
Okay,
her
sounds
whole life she's been saying UTI management over the phone.
Yeah.
that's what I wasn't clear, but
It's like kind of a throwaway joke.
I thought it was
yeah,
funny.
it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah, I thought that worked well. Do you have questions for us?
Yeah. So that's good about the network note. I was kind of writing it for FX, like you mentioned, or actually
Yeah, that's what I felt.
TBS now does all those weird comedies. Was kind of what I was picturing. But if it's not reading as a cable comedy, I need to make some adjustments.
You just have to go full weird.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like I think sometimes when writers want to write something that's like maybe a little strange or not like like the normal type of comedy, they get afraid. It's like you just have to go for it, and you just have to kind of let your freak flag fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was going to be challenging with Caitlin and Billy because they're so
conventional.
They
like,
can be the straight people in the comedy.
totally, but
you
we
just have
see
to
them
really
so
make
early
them.
on, and that's when I got confused because it was like prior to that we were with these porn people, and now we're with these very wholesome people.
If
so
you
like,
introduce like Billy and Caitlin entering this world, then that makes sense.
I mean, maybe hype up
Yeah.
the relationship and the fact that he like maybe make it more about him being obsessed with her and like not even a good writer. He doesn't
Yeah.
even really like writing.
Yeah,
or
that's
maybe
funny.
maybe I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we open in a montage of them of all the horrible things in LA, and they're like, it's like a horror movie. That's like the first thing we see.
I think you can do it something where it's just really normal. I always like it when you just think you're entering a normal world and then
You see the
shit
chaos
goes
of it.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Just because it's on my head, like the Alligator Man episode of Atlanta, the first episode.
Actually, I haven't watched this season.
Oh no.
I will though.
You just think you're in for kind of like a normal, okay, we gotta go help my cousin type of situation, and then everything just spirals. Like the moment they get there, like there's an alligator reference, and you're like, there's no way there's an actual alligator.
Right.
So you just
Okay.
like, if you're gonna, like, if you want to do something weird, I just say, like, if you start from, I'm just literally just talking about improv right now. If you just start from a very normal situation and then like let it spiral out of control, then that's more fun to watch than introducing that everything's weird from the top.
Right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because what about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. Yeah.
What about this? The way that it's written right now, Jeff couldn't live on an NBC.
Just, I mean, I did try to amp up the weirdness. Like, I wanted to read as very specific and weird. And that's what it is mostly. His network is kind of written for everyone. Whereas I want people who are interested in a show like this, people who love really, like, cutting satire. Like, it's supposed to feel very satirical. So if it doesn't, I need to amp that up.
It just doesn't feel edgy. It feels like it would have been that maybe like 5 years ago.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like right now, it's like towing the line of like NBC trying to go weird
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
instead of FX being weird.
Yeah.
So I should push the
Which is
weird.
fun for you because you usually it's like, okay, you got to toe this back to
Right.
fit on something, but you can play a lot more.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, like give
30
Jake a
Rock.
Coke problem or something. You
Like,
know?
starts semi-conventional. Like, the first few beats of 30 Rock, you feel like, okay, you're just watching this. And then, like, you realize, oh, okay. Oh, this isn't completely normal. Or Parks and Rec, you know. Well,
Right.
Parks and Rec, that first
Season
episode
two.
was new. Season 2
Yeah.
is what we talk about. You kind of get the sense that, like, nobody likes watching dumb people. If that's anything I learned from Parks and Rec season 1, I was like, oh, the reason why it didn't work is because nobody believed that Leslie Knope could possibly be that stupid.
Right.
So everyone has to have some type of intelligence, credibility, even if they are actually just kind of dumb. I don't know. You don't want the Joey syndrome, like from
Yeah.
Friends, where he just gets dumber and dumber and dumber.
Who's your favorite character, Jeff?
Yeah,
I do like G a lot.
yeah.
I mean, like, the funny thing about G is, like, he's sort of a no-rules character, which probably isn't, sort of Phoebe-esque, you know?
Yeah.
But I think even elevated. So I'm glad you guys responded to him. I think, like, yeah, hearing Keely read out loud, you read her so well, Haley, but I do worry about her because, like, her whole thing is that she's, like, a clueless, self-centered person. Yeah, that's another question I had is, like, there are some, like, edgier jokes in here, and I don't feel like they played very well.
What are some of the ones you're
You mean like some
specifically
racial
referencing?
ones?
Yeah.
And
And I'm wondering, like, if I need to avoid those,
I
or
thought the Anne Frank one was funny.
did you?
Yeah.
That's good.
I like
Yeah,
that
I
one.
like that. I like the Anne Frank.
I know.
Knee
Yeah.
slapper.
It has to be about like where like the character that it's coming from. Like it
Right.
makes sense because she's so obsessed with
Being an
able
actor.
to being an actor that
Yeah.
he would say something like that. But it has to. I think if you take your characters and just give them like a one-page biography, so you know exactly who these people are.
Yeah.
So it makes sense like why they would say this thing and why they would say that thing.
What did you guys think about the white people shit?
So that was interesting because like that scene suffered because Tim was playing both parts. So you weren't able to get like the comic timing of it, I think, if
Yeah.
you were one playing off the other. So I'm curious to see how that joke would actually play if two people were reading it as opposed to one, because it felt flat.
Oh,
with just
you must be talking about a different part than I am.
oh,
There's a
it must be.
couple-
We're talking about
Second part.
the homeless white people, but no, there are no homeless white people.
Oh, that
I'm
one.
talking
No,
about the Haley, but white, or like,
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
or whatever. I don't remember what exactly it was.
Yeah,
Which one were you talking about?
I'm talking about the one with
G
the
and the
director
black
and the
kid. Yeah.
where he's like,
Oh.
well, what are you? You're like a young white guy, a middle-aged black guy, or like a Pacific Islander in his 30s?
Yeah.
It's like
Yes.
it's close.
He
Yeah.
used to be really ethnically ambiguous. Well, I
Right.
was going to say about that joke too, is that usually it's coming from the other side. So, like as an actor, you get asked a lot, especially if you're ethnic, what can you play? Versus us trying to play everything. Like a lot of the times,
Yeah.
my people will be like, with straight hair, you could play a lot of different roles, and it's
Interesting.
usually me being like, but I'm black.
Yeah, right.
So or like kind of like
Yeah.
having to reinforce like no, that's offensive. Like,
But
don't
even
ask me.
like even littler things than like if you lose 5 pounds,
Yeah.
somehow you look a little more Asian. Like,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
like,
that's great.
how is that true? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've had people literally say that to me, that like the skinnier my face is, the more Asian I look, and
Would
then
it
I can
be-
play that or what.
Would
so
it be
like,
funnier to have G looking for rap and they're like, what do we do with you? And then it's like pitching crazy
Yes,
things.
like
think
what
it'd
about
still
changing
be-
your last name to Rodriguez? What about like,
Yeah.
or whatever
Oh, yeah,
it is?
that-
Because, like that's the kind of stuff we're actually told. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
you should put on weight or lose weight. You should change your hair. You should go
Change your
tanning.
name.
You
Yeah.
know,
You
like
You should learn how to speak Spanish.
yeah, learn to
Yeah.
speak Spanish or Mandarin. Like. Maybe even Russian, depending on your look. Like these are the things that
Yeah.
we're legitimately
Don't
told.
get
so
a
you-
tan.
So you could really get stay out of the sun.
out of that
Yeah,
sun.
You,
Yeah.
Don't
like
get
you don't
any
want to get
darker.
too dark. You have to be darker. Like
Yeah.
all
Because there's
but
things
different
that
things from different
we,
people.
Like the general thing that actors lie about is our age, or we just like avoid talking about our age.
Right.
But when it comes to like our racial dynamics, that's usually stuff that's like kind of thrust upon us. Like we don't usually, most actors I know are slightly uncomfortable with having to like
play outside of
play
their
outside
race
or being like, okay, well, you know, I'm half Asian, half white, but my last name is from my father who's white, but I'll change it to the Asian name if you feel like that. Like those are like awkward kind of conversations that people actually have.
Yeah, and there's some people who are allowed to play other people. Like if you watch in Versace, like if you're Hispanic playing Italian, nobody seems to get mad. But if you
Right.
are white playing Hispanic, then that's definitely a problem.
Right.
So like which ethnicities are allowed to jump to other ethnicities?
Yeah.
Like things like that are not funny, but that
Well, that's what I would
where
want
the
to
jokes would
explore
come
is like
from.
eventually G gets a great part, but like everyone has to figure out what race he actually is to decide if it's okay for him to play it.
Right.
So everyone like looks into his family tree like, well, no, he had an Asian uncle, but like, no, his dad's black, and like
I mean, that was a big thing with Jessica Alba when she first started, is that she refused to say like what
she was. Right.
And people were constantly guessing about it. And to this day, I have no idea. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I think what I
never
like
talked
about
about it.
G is that he's just an actor who's so desperate for a role that
Yes.
he's willing to do whatever.
Yes.
Whatever. What do you want? Oh, you want me to be Asian? I could be Asian. And I think what would be funny is that if throughout the episodes, like, oh, he has to be black, so he goes to like a tanning salon. He gets really, really dark, but it's orange, and then it's like, oh, or he has to be like older, so he like gets all these costumes, like in a cane, and people are like, yeah, you're not.
Right.
What do you do? Like,
Well, I sort of picture
that's
that every.
FX. Like
Yeah.
when you're
Yes.
uncomfortable watching it and you're
Right.
like,
Yeah.
is it okay
Right.
that he's
But then
doing
he
that's what
has
I got
to-
from him.
He has to go full throttle into
Yeah.
it. So it can't be something where he's like obviously lying about the fact that he's not black. It has to be something where it's kind of like
Is
if he's
he?
going to do it, then it has to be something where you as an audience member are kind of like, what? Or it's like he's going so far with it, you're like, this is unbelievable. This is
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Orange with cornrows.
Right. I think every episode I picture him, new hair, new look.
Yeah.
So like even the actor, we're just like putting them through the mill. Like
one episode is a completely different actor.
yeah, I thought about that.
And the writer says nothing.
Yeah.
That's
And
funny.
you can totally
That's
do
really
that.
funny.
No one acknowledges it.
And nobody says anything about it because you can totally do that. Or like, you could cast like, it's hard to find, but like somebody like Wentworth Miller. A lot of people who don't realize he is actually half black.
Wentworth Miller is.
I didn't know
Interesting.
that.
And so because when you get
Prison Break, DC
Legends
Legend of
of
The
Tomorrow.
lead guy in Prison. Okay,
Yeah.
I know who he is.
Because one, ethnically ambiguous actors like don't often ever get to like play with that aspect of themselves. Like they either just have to go with like whatever they've been told, and so that could be a fun thing for them to have to.
Well, somebody
to do
like
off of.
Andrew is the definition of ethnically ambiguous.
Right.
Like I've heard people ask you about literally
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Most roles I get to play are Hispanic,
Yeah.
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 Which you are.
which I am.
Exactly.
But I think that you need somebody with that kind of look and also with the wit of like, what the hell is his name? Summer Heights High. I love
Chris Lilly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like somebody who's like that, where it's like maybe weird and almost like Tommy Wiseau too, like a weird voice, like you don't know what to do.
Yes.
You just, how old are you? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the truth?
He could be from a different planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the season finale.
Yeah, he's just an alien.
Yeah. And okay, cool. That's a really good note.
But
These
yeah,
are all great notes.
You can just go crazy with that character once you have an idea of like where he's coming from and the extreme levels he's willing to go. But if you're just kind of like Like if you're just like sticking your toe in the water, it's like no, you just
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to dive in.
So I think that's why some of those, your original question about those jokes, I think some of them fell flat because they came out of left field,
Yeah.
where as opposed to like it wasn't too raunchy, it
Right.
just wasn't.
And that's the thing
Coming
with
from
like
somewhere.
the Keeley and the white joke, but about white people is that I can see some people not getting that because some people don't realize that like white people look at each other differently based on socioeconomic.
Yes.
I
status.
honestly didn't get that joke.
And so I only know that because I am from the South and
Right.
because you do see that kind of those kind of politics fall into play. But also white people don't necessarily talk about each other in that way.
Right.
Why I didn't get it? What is it?
So the joke is that like she sees a real quote unquote homeless white guy who's like disheveled and unkempt, and she's like, no, I mean like white people.
Like
she
I
doesn't
got it.
sound
I got the
I got it.
oh,
joke.
like he's not white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in
Like he's not of the same.
he's not like capital. Like the joke would be
rich white.
She means more like put together white people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's not even
In the same race as
yeah.
her. Okay.
like the equivalent, and I want to tread lightly here, but SNL did a sketch like this where everyone realized Beyonce's black.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever see that
Yeah,
one?
yeah.
And like there's a joke in there where they see like a Lena Waithe type black person, and they're like, no, we mean like black people.
Right. I
But
see what
maybe
you
that's
mean.
easier to see. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just tough. I get where you're coming from, but it's something that a lot of white people don't even realize.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's the thing that it's like a white.
I find
Yeah.
more white people in LA not wanting to identify with being white.
Right.
Like people.
That's true.
Like I don't think they're like no white people like it's embarrassing right now. It's not like a hot time. For you.
Yeah, it might be funnier for her to be like wanting not. I mean, just I'm not saying she should try to be black, and he's like, "But you're white," like something like that, like instead of like white on white.
Or I always
You know
think
what
how
I mean?
it's funny how white people love to just be like, sorry, let's just brag. Be like, I'm Dutch. I'm
Yeah.
German."
Right.
Right. This
And
is
you're like-
because nobody wants to say they're white. That's
That's
exactly what I'm
true.
talking
Right.
about.
Yeah.
Like,
So it could be like that. She's like, "Oh no, my
Like,
ancestors
no.
were persecuted. I'm
Or-
Norse."
Yeah, or even out
You're
here,
white.
it's like, I'm from the Valley.
Yeah.
I'm from Beverly Hills. I'm
Right.
from, like, the way we hold on to our neighborhoods out here.
Yeah. That's
it's
a great
something.
note.
Like I don't know.
Every
I
time you
grew
up
up
to
in
check-
East LA. I'm
Yeah.
not like
Yes.
East LA. I had a
Yeah.
conversation on Tinder recently. I was like, he's like, when you say East LA, I was like, well, I said East Side. He's like, yeah, but like East LA? I'm like, no, like East Hollywood, like Los.
Like what the fuck? I don't know.
Like, I'm sorry, kid. Like, no, I'm not.
Keely needs work.
Unmatched.
For sure. Okay, these are all really, really helpful notes, guys. I appreciate it. So because I want it to feel like a very weird, edgy FX comedy. It feels like it's not playing that way right now.
not
No,
yet, but
yeah, it's
but
close.
you have like there's no character where I'm like you should cut that
Yeah.
of the five of them. I think that they all can grow to be strong characters and use that and
Yeah.
develop that.
It's like you have the first draft that I say is always just the bones of it. So you're kind of still figuring out like how you're gonna flesh it out, but you have like the basic idea. It's just like going further with it.
What is G's sexuality? Like what is
We don't. It probably will change. Like I think anything we learn about G
It's not.
could be could change next episode.
Okay.
He's like a Kramer.
Yeah,
It's like I
exactly.
want him to
Wild
be the
card.
very elevated version of the weird one, to the
Yeah.
point where it's like maybe a character. Like I've never seen a character where the rules can just literally change any episode. I don't know whether or not that works, but because I haven't seen it, I thought it would be kind of fun
Fun to
explore.
try.
Yeah.
I think you can.
I
It's
think
just
G
like-
is the most successful because he's the weirdest one
Yeah,
that you wrote.
and that's what I'm going for in the script. So
It's like if Atlanta, when they introduced Justin Bieber, they could literally have the actual Justin Bieber come on this season, and nobody would think twice of it, because
And we're
Because-
out.
because they introduced the Black Bieber last season, so you can have that kind of play.
What's happening?
This
I'm
TV
gone.
is off. Jules,
Play
if
with
you
it.
can hear us in the booth, can you just confirm that? Great,
Okay,
thank
cool,
you.
cool,
great.
cool.
Okay.
So yeah, you can kind of go anywhere with it if you as long as you establish that this is the world we live in and it's just as weird as you want it to be.
cool. And like the only other question I have, hopefully we're still on air, is do you guys like what would you guess sort of like the formula of the show is?
What do you mean?
Like
You
what-
mean in terms of acts, in terms of structure?
or more like in terms of subplots. Like I think
in
one
each
thing
episode?
yeah, like one thing executives are looking for is like can I actually picture the show based on the
Well,
pilot?
it seems like all of us kind of felt like Caitlin and Billy were the leads, so that would be the A storyline most of the time, and the B storyline. I think you're developing too with this viralness and like the
Yeah.
different house that would be coming into it.
Cool.
And I think different characters will shine different weeks.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think typically I would want the A story to focus more on work. Like, I feel like every episode, the thing I like is that they're all working in different industries, so it gives us the chance to satirize every single element of the entertainment industry.
Wait, okay, I didn't get that.
Okay.
They're all working in different industries?
Different parts of the industry.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're all
so,
working in
like,
the same industry.
Same industry, yeah,
Got
but
it.
like different parts, exactly. So,
I feel like there's no way that this is on air.
I know.
I think that that's a really interesting thing to play up as well, actually, Jeff, because like anytime that I don't want to talk to anybody out here and they say, "What do you do?" I say, "I work in the entertainment industry."
Right.
Which is like literally the vaguest thing in the
Yeah,
entire
can
world
be
you could
anything.
ever say to somebody. And you know, if they don't ask a follow up, that they don't have any idea about the industry because like they're like, "Oh, okay," and it's like you either don't care or like you don't understand that it's a huge place.
Right.
So something about that, like how being a producer or being a an editor or being a line editor, like there's
Right.
it's very different. Music,
Yeah.
sports, like
Exactly.
all over the place. So you can play that up too. One person we didn't talk about really at all was Michael.
Right.
Did anybody have anything?
I actually liked how you read Bane.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there no mom in the picture? Is that part of the?
Yeah. No, Mom.
Okay.
Is it divorce? Is it dead? Is it? Because I think divorce makes more sense because he seems unbearable.
In an early version, I had written him as divorced, and then later I read him as like someone whose kid was given to him on a doorstep. Like he had sex with one of his talent, and he doesn't know which one, but his son.
And then this is with the result.
What-
I don't mind that at all. I think that's interesting, and I think he had motivation. I think probably one of the reasons we didn't bring him up is that he was one of the more solid characters in
Okay.
terms
Yeah.
of like understanding. Now
Who
he
he
wants to
is.
be back in this industry. He's trying to be a better dad. The
Right.
Oprah stuff, like
Yeah.
he came less frequently than anybody else, but I think
That's a good
he
point.
was pretty
Clear.
solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
That's a good note.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, his intentions are very clear.
He's like a Newman
Right.
or a what's the one from France? The coffee guy.
Oh,
Gunther?
Gunther.
Yeah.
But like a grounded version of those. So it's like you don't
Poor
mind that you don't
Gunther.
see him that much, you understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get what he's doing there.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. For those listening, I think I want to focus on some important things about workshopping just because we try to be an
You're
educational
a great
show.
sport.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do what you do.
Well, that's the most important thing is if writers, when you're ever workshopping, your job is to listen. Like, your job isn't to defend your work because when executives read your work, they won't be in the room with you. So
And
hopefully...
they'll be brutal.
Yeah, and they'll be much meaner than everyone here. I also think it's smart to have writers and actors in the room, which we have both, because they'll read scripts differently. So I think like two very, very important conditions for a successful workshop. So we had a bit of disagreement at the beginning of the show. Do you guys prefer to have read before you table read for a workshop, or do you like coming in cold?
I don't see the value of totally cold.
Yeah. Okay.
Ever.
Yeah.
Why do you like that?
My thought was executives will usually only give a script one read.
Yeah, but they've read it.
Before they give their, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's important to read it once as well, just for honestly doing the piece justice.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of fumbling
If
over
you're-
words and like not knowing the point of view of your character. If I wouldn't have read this, I would have read Jake as much more of a douche at the top, and then halfway through, I'd been like, he's
Yeah.
much more.
And it helps when I think for actors to, especially if we're going to come read it on the air, to have read it once before, even if it's just once before, and then because I know when we read it aloud, we'll always find something
Yeah,
new.
it's different when you hear it aloud.
And it's
for
not like
sure,
our
so.
opinions change that much between the first time we read it and the second time.
And if you want to, sorry, go ahead, Rex.
I think a couple of things. I think that, to be perfectly frank, right now there's a lot of notes. So it's not at the point yet where I feel like it didn't need. I can give better notes if I've read this multiple times because structurally speaking, I can't give notes right now because I can't be like, this scene should be moved earlier on
Yeah.
because I just read it.
Right.
So if this was farther along, then I think that if we had done it cold and it was just very specific notes, like cut that line, change that, but right now we're still figuring out big picture stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like I could give you more helpful notes if I was like storyboarding this almost and
Right.
being able to move things. And also as an actor, I know that sometimes people use this kind of, any of the people that we've had guests, some of them say, I didn't read it before because I like to use this as cold read practices. I've gone on, and everybody in this room has gone on thousands of auditions at this point.
Right.
I've never, ever, ever had to cold read something like
First time ever
seeing it. They don't give you a single second to read it over, like, except in one commercial shoot where they were like, wait, we're changing up this script, throw in this one, or like it's on a prompter or whatever. Like, a cold read really isn't a cold read.
Right.
It's I've read these sides. Maybe you guys have had different experiences, but
I've had mostly what you're talking
Yeah,
about. I've had
so
like a bad experience here
5
and there.
minutes.
I think
read it
for-
in
And
a
in
row.
some commercial auditions, you will walk into the room and
they'll have you do random
you will
stuff.
know nothing until
Yeah.
you go into the room.
Yeah.
The other
So-
thing is about intentions as an actor is like, let's say, I mean, this is a great example because it is the first draft, and you have someone like Keeley with, let's say that Haley hadn't read it yet, and Keeley doesn't have clear intentions right now, and then Haley as an actress didn't make any point of view intention decisions on her own. It's like she would have read it much worse, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, at least even if we get a character that isn't fully thought out or fully flourished, it's like we will make our own choices to give that character life, as opposed like with a cold read, you're just kind of fucked.
Well,
I
did you read
sometime-
it? Did you read it? Kelly?
You did it, did you?
Half.
I do totally see the value in what you're saying, putting yourself in the executive shoes. I think that's if you feel like your script is 100% ready,
Right.
you give it to somebody to read once, and you
Right.
say, "Did that make sense?"
Yeah, that's
you
a
know
good
what I
note.
mean.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think maybe the comparison to executives reading it just doesn't. I mean, I assume you have other writers and friends who you always have give notes on your stuff before
Yeah.
it gets in front of anybody who
That's
might
true.
pay for
That's a
it.
good
So,
point.
like,
But it's not
it's
even
just
in
a
this
different
shape.
set of eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
usually our first drafts, like, I know for me, a first draft never makes it outside of
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
'Cause
that's
I'll
brave.
go through and
Yeah,
I'll be
very
like,
brave.
no. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's usually like maybe a third draft, fourth draft.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, guys, thanks so much. And I hope for you listening, it was valuable to see a different side of sort of how writing develops. That was the goal of this show. So I really appreciate it. I hope listeners, you appreciate it as well. We'll discuss whether or not we want to run a format like this or not. But
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool if you rewrote this and then we came back and read it again. I don't know
Yeah,
if
we
you
could.
have
Yeah.
any thought. Like,
I mean,
I
that
don't know how
feels
long that would
selfish
take, but
of me.
No,
You
I
would,
think
you would
that's
just have to
cool.
get a writer that was 100% on board.
Yeah, because with you, I think we felt
Beyond.
very comfortable.
Oh, for
Yes.
sure. And that's what I
Yes.
wanted was like a very candid workshop. But we'll see. We'll discuss it. And of course, we're here every week, guys, except for next week where we'll be done. But this is our 49th show, which is really
Yeah.
exciting, guys. So we're getting
Wow.
more and more shows. I do want to do another produced show soon. We had a lot of really good feedback when we brought on stuff that's already been, scenes that had already been produced and read them. So a lot of opportunities here on the Unproduced Table Read, guys. To remind you, we're here every Friday. If you enjoyed the early version of this script, I'd say a script that, at least in my head, I picture it being most similar to is Moguls, written by Josh Dorian, which is a sort of political news satire.
Love that.
I know, one of my favorites we've run on the show, so that's what I'd like to think, at least have the kernels of that. But guys, my name's Jeff. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to find me online, you can do that at Jeffrey C. Graham. And of course, I'm surrounded by some other brilliant folks.
Hey guys, I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
I am Timothy Michael. You can find me everywhere at I am Timothy Mike.
Hey, I'm Haley O'Connor on Twitter as Haley O'Connor.
Roxy Stryer, you can find me at Roxy Stryer.
I'm Andrew Guy. You can find me at Andrew Guy. And thanks, Jeff. That was fun.
Thank
Yeah,
you
that was
guys.
fun.
I thought it was fun
Thanks,
too.
Jeff. Cool.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed here are those of the host only. The views